177. You are looking to create a username for Tom to log on to the router. What command would you use? A. R1, config, hash username Tom password p at ssw0rd. B. R1 hash username Tom password p at ssw0rd. C. R1 greater than username Tom password p at ssw0rd. D. R1, config if hash username Tom password p at ssw0rd. Answer. A. R1, config, hash username Tom password p at ssw0rd. To configure a username and password on your Cisco device, you must be in Global Configuration and use the username command. 178. You wish to view a list of commands recently used on the router. What command would you use? A. Show history. B. Show commands. C. Show all. D. Show my commands. Answer. A. Show history. The show history command is used to display a list of recently used commands on the router. 179. You would like to encrypt all passwords configured on the router. What command would you use? A. Enable password encryption. B. Service password encryption. C. Encrypt password all. D. Encrypt passwords. Answer. B. Service password encryption. To encrypt all passwords in the configuration files on the router, you use the service password encryption command, a great command to be familiar with for exam purposes and the real world. 180. You have made changes to your Cisco router and would like to verify the changes before saving them. What command would you use? A. Show startup config. B. Show memory. C. Show running config. D. Show flash. Answer. C. Show running config. The show running config command displays the configuration in volatile RAM, which must be saved to non-volatile RAM, startup config, if you wish to have the changes persist when the power is lost or the system is rebooted. 181. You are administering a Cisco router. When you have a typo in the command name, you have to wait for the router to do a DNS lookup before getting control of the console again, an annoying problem. What command would fix it? A. Disable DNS. B. No IP domain lookup. C. IP domain lookup. D. No DNS lookup. Answer. B. No IP domain lookup. The no IP domain lookup command can be used to disable DNS lookups on the Cisco device. 182. You would like the console to time out after a minute and 45 seconds of inactivity. What command would you use? A. Exec timeout 1 space 45. B. Exec timeout 145. C. No exec timeout 1 space 45. D. No exec timeout 145. Answer. A. Exec timeout 1 space 45. You can use the exec timeout command on the console port to specify a timeout value for the console. When you do this, you specify the duration of an activity in the format of minutes, space, seconds. 183. What command can be used to modify the history size on the Cisco router? A. R1 hashtag terminal history size 30. B. R1 config hashtag terminal history size 30. C. R1 config hashtag history size 30. D. R1 hashtag history size 30. Answer. A. R1 hashtag terminal history size 30. The command to increase the number of commands that are stored in the history buffer is the terminal history size command, which is executed from priv exec mode. 184. After creating a user named Bob, you would like to ensure that the console port prompts for username and password. What command would you use? A. R1, config line, hash login. B. R1, config line, hash enable login. C. R1, config line, hash login local. D. R1, config line, hash logon. Answer: C. R1, config line, hash login local. To configure the Cisco device to prompt for a username and password when connecting to the console port, you must first navigate to the console port and then use the login local command. This command tells the Cisco device to prompt for a username and password and authenticate against the local list of usernames. 185. Which of the following banner types is the first to be displayed? A. Login. B. Modded. C. Exec. D. Logout. Answer: B. MOTD. The message of the day, MOTD, banner is displayed first. After the MOTD banner, you see the login banner before logging into the device, but after the MOTD banner. Finally, the exec banner displays when the administrator enters user exec mode. 186. You would like to delete the configuration on your router and start with a clean configuration. Which two commands would you use? Select 2. A. Delete startup config. B. Reload. C. Restart. D. Erase startup config. E. Format router. Answer: B. Reload. D. Erase startup config. In order to delete the configuration off your router, you would first erase the startup config and then use the reload command to reboot the router. When the router reboots, there is no startup config to apply, so the router will prompt you to enter setup mode. 187. A network technician is having trouble connecting two routers across the serial ports. One router is a Cisco router, whereas the other router is from a different manufacturer. You have loaded HDLC on both routers. What should you do? A. Ensure the subnet mask on the serial ports is 255.255.255.252. B. Change the frame size on the serial interfaces. C. Use PPP as the serial link protocol. D. Change the buffer size on the serial interfaces. Answer: C. Use PPP as the serial link protocol. The HDLC protocol on Cisco routers is a proprietary implementation of the protocol and can only be used to communicate with other Cisco routers via serial ports. If you have an environment that uses routers from different manufacturers, you will need to use an industry-standard serial link protocol such as PPP. 188. You would like to verify the status of one of your interfaces. What command would you use? A. Show interfaces. B. Show iproot. C. Show router. D. Show F0/0 status. Answer: A. Show interfaces. The Show Interfaces command is used to view all interfaces and their status. You can also use the Show Interface command to view the status of a particular interface. 196. You use the Show Interfaces command and get the status below on your serial port. Which layer of the OSI model has a problem? Serial 0, 2/0 is up. Line protocol is down. A. Layer 1. B. Layer 2. C. Layer 3. D. Layer 4. Answer: B. Layer 2. When using the Show Interfaces command, you see the status of the link shown in the format of serial 0, 2/0 is up. Line protocol is down. The serial 0, 2/0 is up part indicates whether there is a link, layer 1, whereas the line protocol down part indicates whether the layer 2 protocol has been configured properly. 198. Using the output below from the Show Interfaces command, what is most likely the problem? Serial 0, 2/0 is up. line protocol is down. A. There is no physical link. B. A protocol or clock rate has not been set. C. You need to configure the router as the DCE device. D. You need to configure the router as the DTE device. Answer. B. A protocol or clock rate has not been set. If the line protocol is down, there is a problem with the configuration of the serial link protocol or the clock rate. Also note that if the protocol has not been configured properly on the other end, the line protocol still displays as down. 200. Which of the following connectionless application layer protocols is used to transfer Cisco iOS images and configuration files to a backup location? A. TFTP. B. FTP. C. Telnet. D. SSH. Answer. A. TFTP. TFTP is UDP-based and is the protocol Cisco devices use to back up the iOS image and configuration files to a remote server. 201. Your coworker would like to back up the router configuration to a TFTP server. What command would you use to back up your running configuration to a TFTP server? A. Backup running config TFTP. B. Copy running config TFTP. C. Backup TFTP running config. D. Copy TFTP running config. Answer. B. Copy running config TFTP. In order to back up your configuration, such as the running config, or your iOS, you can use the copy command. 202. A few weeks ago, you backed up your router configuration to a TFTP and now you wish to restore the configuration back to your router. What command would you use? A. Backup running config TFTP. B. Copy running config TFTP. C. Backup TFTP running config. D. Copy TFTP running config copy flash TFTP. Answer. D. Copy TFTP running config. In order to copy your configuration from a TFTP server to your router, you will use the copy command and specify TFTP as the source and running config as the destination. For example, copy TFTP running config. The Cisco device will prompt you for the IP address of the TFTP server to connect to for the configuration. 203. Susan types the preceding command on her company router. What is the command's purpose? A. To back up the iOS image to a server. B. To back up the router running configuration to a server. C. To back up the router startup configuration to a server. D. To back up the routing table to a server. Answer. A. To back up the iOS image to a server. The copy command is used to back up or restore your iOS image or the configuration files of the Cisco device, depending on what you specify as the source and destination parameters. In this example, because flash is used as the source, the command is copying an iOS image from flash memory and the destination is set to a TFTP server. The actual details of the file name to be copied and the IP address of the TFTP server to use will be asked by the Cisco device. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.